Welcome to the AI for You Cafe today on March 4th. I'm will let all the people come in and join. Great that you're here. And we will start slowly. The theme of today is, as you can read, an education to fight with bias. And the speaker is today Moyan Asghari from Women in AI from Paris in France, and she will introduce herself later. But hello, Moyan.
Hi, glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you that you came. My name is Carmen McWilliams, and I'm the moderator and organizer. I'm the director of the company Grassroots Arts and partner in the current European AI for EU project. Please take notice that this session will be recorded. The recording of this live web session will be available afterwards on our AI for You website. Please don't share any confidential information in the cafe. And in this cafe, the speakers express their personal view and opinions. This is not necessarily the official AI for You project opinion. So, and I'm now showing you the second slide. A moment. What is the AI for You web cafe about? The web cafe is public and offers a series of live web sessions on AI. The cafe is an online forum to gain insights into the European AI scene. Participants get the chance to share knowledge and experiences and meet stakeholders from various areas of AI research and application. We are running this cafe since last fall, and we are always welcoming applications for speakers. So if you feel like be one day also a speaker, please drop me an email. This is an interactive session and live, of course. On the right side, you have a panel. You should see also the menu questions and chat. There you can write your questions during the presentation. You can write them down, and after Moyan's presentation, I will read these questions and then Moyan will answer. This is our Q&A session, the Q&A session is about 15 minutes max at the end of the presentation. So now again, welcome here in the AI for You Cafe. Now I will hand over to you, Moyan. I will make you the moderator, and you asked me that you can introduce yourself. So I'm very happy you're here, and I can see now your presentation. Great. So.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to put it on full screen. So hello, everybody. I'm really grateful and happy to be here. This is the first time I do the web cafe, and I'm really grateful to Carmen to inviting me here. So my presentation will be basically about our organization, which I'm representing, Women in AI, and also about why education is important today and how we can do to come up with biases and the gender gap that we have in the field. Just a brief story, introduction about myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a tech entrepreneur. Today I'm based in Paris. I come originally from Iran. I have a few initiatives that I've launched, and Women AI is basically my main initiative that I'm working on. I'm the co-founder, and our mission is basically to close the gender gap in AI by empowering more women, more girls to learn about AI, focusing a lot on education, activities that we have such as events, and that I'm going to go more in details of our activities. I also do some conferences, public speaking, help some startups in their basically business, advising some of them, and yeah, that's basically about me. And so would like to tell you a little bit about Women AI. So we are actually a nonprofit organization based out of Paris, and we call ourselves a do tank, that we're working toward gender inclusive AI. So it's a big community that everybody can join, men or women, no matter how, what is your background, what is your age, you can join to connect and learn more about how you can share your knowledge and learn more about AI. So we have actually a big community today around the world, that we have different chapters run by our local ambassadors. Everything is basically on voluntary basis. To give you just a little bit of the numbers that we have, so our community expands to 2,000, more than 3,200 members from over 110 countries. We have 28 active chapters around the world that are run by the ambassadors, and it's increasing. And our main activities are community activities that I'm going to explain more, events, education, and also research and publication. So the main question today is, why do we need education in AI, and why now? If you look at the growth of all these technologies over the past years, you see like, let's say in 1980s, we had like PCs coming, and then in the 90s and till the age of millennials, the internet came, and then we saw the growth of social media and other platforms and applications. And recently, over the past, let's say like 5 years, 5 years, we see a lot of growth in new technologies, deep tech, artificial intelligence. We see IoT rising, robots, quantum computing, blockchain, and this growth is not linear; it's exponential. So that means that we need to learn more and more faster every day. We need to really update ourselves. And you see more and more companies like Google, Facebook, all these big giant companies, they're going more towards having the AI in the core of their companies, calling themselves the AI first companies. That means that they are really investing a lot in AI. They need more talents in AI, and the topics like bias or basically controversial topics around AI ethics is coming more and becoming more important. And if you look at AI and what is bringing it to us, it's really also helping us maybe to go away from that that daily basis routine life that we have, that we used to do. Maybe let's say updating the same files every day, doing the repetitive jobs, that a computer can do it better, and we can get away from those repetitive boring jobs and think a little bit more about what we can bring as those human values that we have. I believe that AI can help us to get closer to those human lives. Of course, we have these days a lot of conversation and controversial arguments about how AI is replacing people, how AI is replacing jobs. But I believe that AI also can help us if we're really, really learning those things that we need to adapt with this growth, this pace of technology advancement. We can really get closer to those roots of human being, which is more into emotional intelligence and EQ. And we see more and more AI going into different industries. So it's not only one industry having AI into it, it's so many industries, from health to defense to different industries, food, and so on. So it's really used everywhere, and it's not specifically to one single job. We also see that we have some basic challenges in our world, like climate change. Over the past 1-2 years, many big companies, big conferences, let's say World Economic Forum, all they come to this conclusion that we might have 10 to 12 years maximum to really revert the effects of climate change. So are we really that fast to come against those pollutions that we're creating? Maybe AI can help us to get there. Maybe we can use technologies like AI to help our the biggest issues of the world that we have today, and help us to come over them. For instance, one of these companies that are working on AI, is they're using some AI algorithms to help them basically detect the plastics in the root of the oceans, because over 80% of the plastics that we have, they are not on the surface of the planet, they are in deep down in the sea. So this company is using AI image recognition to find those plastics where they are stuck and how we could get them out. That's, for example, one part of the solution that we can solve. Something more maybe science fiction is that we are discovering new frontiers in space with the help of AI and machine learning, and that is actually something that we might not be able to, we were not being able to do it before, but now with the help of AI and machine learning, we are able to do that. So it's very exciting to think about it this way as well. One of the topics also that is very controversial is weaponized AI. That it basically needs the global knowledge, the global agreements about it, how we're using this AIs. That the topic of ethics comes here, that we should know about it, so we should educate ourselves about it, because these are things that are impacting us fundamentally. And it's not only people who are engineers, it's not only people who are in defense that are involved and impacted. There are many people getting involved and get impacted. So we have a topic, very important topic that actually is a core topic at Women in AI also, is gender gap. And all our activities are toward gender balance. We have, according to World Economic Forum, to many statistics, it is maybe more than 200 years to get to parity between genders, and the percentage of women in STEM and towards AI and even to the leadership positions is something around 12% globally, which is very low. So this is a topic that it's creating a lot of problems in applications and bias in our future. So that's basically a big issue that we need to solve it. And I believe we should not wait 200 years, and we should act faster. So the question that I want to ask you and the answers that I want to bring you is how we can do that, how we can educate ourselves, our kids, our girls to be more interested in AI and to close this gender gap. So we are doing some activities at Women AI to tackle this issue. For instance, we have an educational program called Way to Go. It's basically a program towards for women with or girls with earlier age, mostly before actually they choose their major at the university, to encourage them to go for engineering degrees and potentially start a career in AI. We have workshops for them on AI and robotics. We help them to discover this area and some coding sessions. And that's how basically we're trying to generate and reborn the next actually workforce for our AI talents in the companies and in the industry, creating more role models. So within Way to Go, we have a concept called Way Camp. So these are the 2-3 days mostly workshops that is designated for girls between 4 and 18 years old. So we've done that in different countries. We're basically global, so we have ambassadors in different countries that are doing that. We organize camps in Berlin, Johannesburg, Sydney, Karachi, Paris, Lausanne, and we have in our agenda to organize around 10 more camps this year. So if anybody is interested in those countries or those cities or anywhere else, we're more than happy to collaborate. So in one of our camps, we had actually this amazing lady. She was 14 years old, and I wanted to quote her here because that's very much our dream to go towards this direction, to give more power to our girls. She was telling us there are so many people who don't understand my choice of studying engineering, but my dream is to see a day that nobody tells me I'm not made for tech. So that's her dream, and I wish that we reach one day to see that Our teachers at school, they don't question us. Our parents, they don't question us. Our society doesn't do that. So everybody can reach to their potential. I'm going to go really quickly on the next slides, but basically I would like to just tell you how other types of education and empowerment activities can help to close this gender gap. For instance, Way Open Door is another educative program that we have, that we ask big companies to open the doors so so talents, girls, young talents, they can understand, they can project themselves where on those companies they can take a, let's say, data scientist position, AI position, something that is related to them. So once they are motivated to study AI, now what can they do? According to statistics, 80% of the girls that they hadn't chosen engineering degrees in their studies told, actually that's a study by Stanford, they said that they would go to engineering degrees if they knew that they have a good career opportunity. That means that they had been chosen not to go to engineering because they were thinking there's no opportunity for them. So that's a really big issue, that we should really close this gap by collaborating with corporations and governments and schools. We also organize, as I told you, a lot of events in different cities, in different countries. We have a format that we give the stage to women. We call it Way Talk. So women take the stage, but the audience is mixed. So these women are talking about their expertise. However they are talking, a man could do the same thing. Basically, they don't talk about diversity, they talk about their expertise, what they are creating, what is their real responsibility, and they are creating some sort of a invisible role model influence, basically, in through these events. That's our main goal. And then finally, we have something called Way on Stage. We also have these experts in AI around the world, and we help them to go on stage at different big conferences. So we are already showing the society that we have experts in AI, we have these amazing role models, and they can actually speak up and share their knowledge. We also praise women time to time. We write their stories. It's very important, this part of role model creation, because that's how we can show to everybody that, hey, there are people you can recruit. Hey, there are people that they can actually be role models for younger generation. And also funding. Funding and PR is very important. So we launched an initiative called Way Awards. It's basically to help female entrepreneurs to get selected. They can actually receive a little bit of funding, getting an acceleration program by our sponsors, and they can basically be awarded for the great job that they're doing. In the field of entrepreneurship, we also lack a lot of female representation. So this is also how we can help them to encourage female founders in taking initiative to launch their own companies. So just to tell you a little bit about actually what we do Women AI at AI4EU, I just want to mention that we really need the governments and institutional organizations to be on board to help to close the gender gap. There are initiatives by European Commission to forcing basically companies recruit percentage, like it's obligatory basically to recruit a certain percentage of women in their boards. There are many good initiatives in that sense. AI for Good also is a big topic, like SDG, all this stuff. And AI4EU, at AI4EU, we are basically, we have created a gender committee. So we are also bringing gender balance activities, gender inclusive activities within the consortium, within the project. And we're also focusing a lot on education. So this is very good to have basically the support of the European Commission, the support of all the consortium members of AI4EU, and like having the web cafes, for instance, it helps us to spread the word out, and hopefully we are getting there, and we can encourage more people to get on board. Just to summarize, actually, just one sentence about what I think that it is true for anything. Basically, Stephen Covey also says that technology is a great slave but a terrible master. So it depends how you're using the technologies. AI is an awesome technology, but that can be also a mean to basically increase the gender gap, increase the problems that we have. Let's not do that, and let's actually use it for the good. Thank you so much, everybody. This was all I wanted to present. So I'm more than happy to answer your questions and your comments. So please feel free. And Carmen, please, if you have any questions, I'm at your disposition.
Yes, thank you, Mo-Yan. Thank you. It was a great presentation. And I would like to ask the first question, but also I want to encourage the participants, please write down your questions and I will read them and ask them to Mo-Yan. There is a question panel on the right side, so just feel free to ask your questions. So Mo-Yan, I would like to know how you made it to AI. What brought you to AI?
Yes, myself, actually it was by chance. I was organizing an event because for a long time I was organizing many events, hackathons, startup weekends, and one of them was about AI. So I got to know a few girls there that actually we were not so many. So the hackathon was about AI, and we were only 4 girls out of 100, and that was where we wondered, so where are the other girls? Where is everybody? And slowly I got interested into AI through that, and then I was attending different conferences, different meetups, and always the room was full of men, and somehow I was feeling that I'm not really welcome there. And I have an engineering background. I didn't have so much like problems of techniques, but still like I was maybe a bit away, farther from the levels of the people who were in the room. So it was somehow weird to be sometimes the only woman in the field. But that's how I got into AI. I started actually online courses at some point, and some coding courses, but some like mostly self taught.
Okay, great. Yes, I have some questions from the audience, so I'm going to read them. It's Guido Capio. He congratulates you for your presentation. Congrats, Mo-Yan. What are your medium long-term goals? How can we support you here in Italy? Yes.
Wonderful question. We actually don't have an ambassador in Italy, but we are really, really much looking forward to having an ambassador. Our medium goals is basically in 2020, we would like to expand our network, and we would like to focus more on education. So education is our agenda. As I said, we have decided to launch more camps around the world. We also have we are going to have WAY Awards, which is the global award for women entrepreneurs in AI, actually making it global by having Australia and APAC area joining us. So far had been European. So that's our goal for this year. And we have also recently launched a WAY Accelerate for individuals who want to launch their business in AI, who want to become an entrepreneur. So that's also an initiative that we are bringing this year. We're bringing so many initiatives like in the short term. So long term, basically the mission is to close the gender gap as much as we can, collaborating with institutions, with governments. We are in touch now and had been asked to advise and consult a European Parliament on different matters about AI and education ethics. So yeah, we are structuring more about our organization, and we would like to make our chapters more independent and bigger. So anybody who would like to join us now, they can apply actually to become the local chapter legally, and we are going to empower them to be able to do that.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And also Guido says thank you. He's like in the moment. You can actually, if anybody wants also, you can also raise a hand and then I could give you the mic. But let's continue with the chat, with the text. Susanna Takova, sorry for pronouncing maybe wrong. Hi, Susanna. Moja, can we participate in WakeCamp from Slovakia? Is it possible to organize it here? Could you help us? I am interested in the activities for good.
Wonderful. We do not have an ambassador in Slovakia, but we were asked from a forum there. I think the name is Globesk from Slovakia, and they asked us to join and help them maybe moderate a panel, organize some workshops. Once we have an ambassador locally, we can do everything. So if you are interested, or you know anybody who's interested to joining us as an ambassador, I'm more than happy to open all the access and help you launch that chapter and organizing events. So definitely, that's totally a big go for us.
Great. Mojan, it's my question now. Can they just write you, email you, or go to the website?
Of course, I don't know if my screen is still there, but my email is that mujan@womeninai.co. You can write me there, and you can, in the title, if you put web cafe follow up or something, I would understand very fast that that's you, and definitely I can give you more information about it. We have a website also, womeninai.co, that you can visit. You can see all our ambassadors around the world. You can see our events. Unfortunately, many of the events have been canceled recently because of Corona in different cities. But yes, we have already some events going on. So if you see an ambassador already on the website, you can join them on their local team. I think they would be super happy to welcome you. If you don't have an ambassador there, if you are interested, we can definitely discuss and make you the local ambassador.
Great. Yes, and now Alessandro. Alessandro, he's a partner also in AI4U project. Hi, Alessandro. He says, great initiative. Do we have a space in the AI4U platform where AI women and their activities can be made visible? Do you know about that? I don't.
A wonderful question. So with AI4U and Gender Committee, one of the ideas that we are working on now is to create a space for actually a creative space for Gender Committee and all the initiatives that they exist for women in the European scale, to add them there. So to first of all present what is happening in Europe towards gender balance, what are the organization, and what we are bringing. So this is under development. I don't have the exact date or exact announcement, but this is something is going to happen. I can definitely follow up on that. And if you want to email me to give you more information, yes, it will be my pleasure.
Great, great. So also stay tuned with the AI4EU platform.
Yes, the beta actually version had been released, so we were so excited about it. I invite you to actually go on the website AI4EU and basically, if you haven't registered already, so join on it, and you will receive more information by that way.
Yes, and here comes Natalie. Natalie is a good friend from Canada. Hi, Natalie. How do you see AI in service to projects and subjects that are of interest for women? For example, caring for humans.
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
So how do you see AI in service to projects and subjects that are of interest for women? Example is caring for humans.
I see. So I think your question is about why, for example, you're mentioning the EQ or more human, human personality or emotion that is more linked to women. I know there are a couple of projects that they actually collaborate together online on collaborative platforms to work on those aspects. I think that, as I mentioned, I believe that AI will help us to get closer to our roots, which are those human roots, because for machine, for AI today, it's so hard to become like humans and to imitate the very, very basic human things like sensing, like the five, six basically initial senses. It's super hard actually to become to imitate that. So I think that projects like that is super interesting. I think you can definitely find platforms that they work on that. I think there is one company, there's one platform that are also a nonprofit, Omenta, if I'm not mistaken the name. They are working on such projects that are good for the humanity, good for the world, good for the society, and they use AI, and they call it the AI enthusiasts coming on the platform, working together on challenges. Actually, these projects are challenges for them. So you come up, you get involved in the challenge, and all of you have the same mission to basically solve that challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's what I can tell you of my understanding so far.
Yes. And of course, it's for us all interest is like the society development challenges, like I mean, save the planet. It's not particular to women; it's to men and women.
Yes, it's for everybody, exactly. And AI it should be a tool, not for us to a goal. So AI can help us to do things better, to accelerate things for us to be more precise. So we should maybe think about it that way. It's helping us to achieve what we want. So if you're a man or a woman, if you have an idea, if you want to do something that is we think there's value in it and helps the society, of course we can do it and use AI to help us to do that.
Yes. Yes, and here comes Maria Kinsle. Hi, Marian. What do you think causes the gender gap, especially in the field of AI?
So the field of AI is actually not that different than tech. The domains we call it STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and math. So we lack actually a lot of women in these fields as well, and that's why it results in AI, because AI is at the end a lot of mathematics. It's linked to engineering, and it links to computer science and coding, programming. So that's why it results in that. And if you go back in, I think I don't remember exactly the decade, but when they started to commercialize personal computers, that was actually the mistake of marketing, that they started to market personal computers as a men's tool. So basically, men look like, okay, more professional, having PC, going to work. And slowly it became something for guys, for boys, not for women. And I believe that was a marketing fault. Just before that, we had these huge big rooms for computers, and women actually were more doing that than men. And the first person who actually created the first algorithm was a woman, that they called her the first computer scientist, basically. So the problem is coming from that, and the problem today is coming from following this issue of mindset in the society, because marketing is so strong, you can change people's mind. And so we're following it, we're employing it in our society, in our families, buying, for example, dolls for girls, buying cars for boys, and in the school. My cousins in Paris, for instance, they go to school, they're teachers, they don't even listen to them. They say, oh, you're a girl, you're like a tourist here, these kind of stereotypes. So it's on us now how to educate our kids and how to stop these stereotypes and do something about it.
Yes, yes, thank you. And here's also thank you from Susanna. And here comes Xin Chen. I will say we are around the world. Gender bias is just one aspect of bias. There are others, such as religious, race, color. What is the special impact on women in AI to society and to industry?
Yes, a wonderful question. As I mentioned, gender bias is actually what we are focusing mostly at women in AI. That's our niche, but diversity in general is very important for AI. It's very important to even encourage our developers to learn more about things that are not related to development, and to know what is the end user of the products they're building, and considering all the society, not only a certain small category of them. So gender bias, of course, is one of them. Women AI, so far what we're doing is we are involving everybody with different differences of religion, colors, backgrounds, and all the diversity that we can. We are trying to bring everybody to become our ambassadors. Everybody can become a member, and we have actually some events that are tackling other parts of the bias, not only gender bias, in our events that I mentioned you, and you can also go on our Eventbrite page and see all the topics of events that we have organized. But we're not talking only about gender bias. We're talking a lot about other types of bias. And your question is totally correct.
Yes. And now comes one more question from Alessandro. Would a more interdisciplinary approach to AI help reducing the gender gap?
Yes, I believe definitely it can help us. It can help. The more we have different industry, different backgrounds, different people getting involved in AI, the more we have ideas and mindsets that we need to include them in decisions, in the programs, in the AI programs that we have. So yes, definitely can help.
I have not a question, but a comment. It's for me because there's just the white paper came out from the Commission, and it's like also about bias, no? Of course, how to bridge and how to solve the bias. And there will be a legislative framework for AI coming out, and especially here, I know that women are asked to help. Everybody is asked to help, but they are actively looking for also women to help. And last week we had Marta in our cafe, and she was even asked to join. So it is on the website from the European Commission. It's the white paper AI. You will find it right away. And everybody, of course, men and women are asked to help, but we are still lacking women, especially. So please join. Experts are needed. So my next question is, what are your next big plans for women in AI, which you are like, basically, is there a project, something you really want to do which you're not doing yet? Is there like something where you need a lot of money for?
Well, if you're investors around, please come and talk to me. But so as I said, the big plan for us for 2020 is that we scale our local activities to global, because what we do as of now is that we test some local activities and then we expand it globally, like Way Awards and like Way Accelerate. Now we would like to actually expand it. We would like to have more collaboration with universities. Like our actually dream would be to change the agenda to help governments and policymakers to think more about how to create some regulations around diversity in AI and focusing on gender diversity in AI, and maybe putting some agenda on schools. How do they train teachers? How do they solve this issue of this gap, basically for motivational gap between girls and boys, because that's where we are going to have less women. Because how do you have like more women working on AI? Is you need to have that available human resource to pour them into the companies, into those leader positions. If you don't have them, you can't have it. So the solution comes from the youth, from the young generation. So the question is of how to start from scratch, from the root, to grow these all talents, to be able to make a better future for us, to work on those areas. So I think that on the agenda for us, the big maybe dream, big vision would be how we could hand by hand work with policymakers and institutions to create some regulations, ethical principles which turn into regulations, because we have a lot of principles so far, but regulations around AI is still a bit far.
Yes, and here I think now we are coming to the last question. One more from Ramin Amiri. Hi Moyan, thanks for your presentation. Unbiasing and diversifying AI is incredibly important. One challenge that I see emerging within the AI diversity and unbiasing movement is increasing competition between different groups, be it those promoting female inclusion, ethnic diversity, inclusion of low-income communities, etc. in AI. Now the question, how can we make sure that really everyone gets a voice in AI in a less competitive, positive some way?
Yes, thanks a lot for your question and your comment. We are actually not seeing ourselves competitors with other initiatives. We in fact see that we are helping each other and raising more awareness around the topic. Of course, you tap on internet on Google, you'll see like a lot of initiatives like Girls in Tech, Girls in AI, Women in Tech, Women in AI, all these initiatives. And I personally myself, I admire all of them, and I believe that the power is to merge and to join forces to create bigger, more impactful initiatives. For instance, at AI for EU, the gender committee, we have people from other initiatives like women in data science and machine learning. They're joining us. We're all putting our efforts and time towards the same goal. So I do not believe that we should see each other as competitors, but also as teammates. We are also organizing many events with women in tech, for instance, that we really appreciate them, and they are really one of my big partners. So yes, I do believe that we should see each other as teammates.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mo-Yan. I will now slowly close the session for today. This was great, and I want to announce the next one coming, which is next week on Wednesday again at 3 p.m. And this will be this time Joachim Köhler from the Fraunhofer Institute and from Germany, St. Augustine, and he will talk about the publication process and the AI resource catalog of the AI for You platform. So this time it will be like hands-on how to use our project platform. So please join if you're interested. Also, we will have the recording of this session available as soon Mo-Yan says it's okay.
Yes, of course, it's okay for my side.
To first see it, don't say first you, and then we basically have it then also on the AI for You platform. And if you want to have the presentation from Mo-Yan, you can also ask me or Mo-Yan, and we will send it to you. And now I want to thank you. Today it is a little bit shorter, this session, but I like because we had a lot of question and answering. And thank you, Mo-Yan, again for this very, very, very exciting presentation and also session on question and answers. Thank you, and have a nice day. No?
Thank you, everybody. Yes, thank you, Carmen. Have a great day to everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.